And we're back on the 260, where the energy of the Spiece Fieldhouse continues to resonate. Stay tuned as we dive deeper into the captivating stories, thrilling moments, and remarkable athletes that have graced this iconic venue. You, me, us, and them, we are the 260.
Yes, we are. And when you talk about remarkable athletes and a name that you think about.
Ambassador to the sport.
An ambassador to the sport, an ambassador for the 260. When I think of great athletes, great players, and great people in the 260, this is one of the names that quickly comes to mind, the great Walter Jordan.
Yes,
Walter,
sir. Yes,
thank
sir.
you, brother, for being with us. It's an absolute honor.
Thanks,
you, guys. Thanks for those kind words. It's an honor to be here, and it's always good to be home and be among guys who understand community and doing the great work you guys done. So congratulations on what you do.
And that's something special. I mean, he's been living down in Atlanta for years, but he constantly promotes this town.
He constantly comes back.
Yeah.
And after all these years, all the greatness, all the things that he achieves, Dave, and you've come back and done a camp this week. Tell us about the camp and what, get over 200 kids out there. I mean, it's just remarkable that your legacy and your ability to give back to the community lives on.
Well, thank you. This communities mean everything to me. It's amazing that I always tell people you can't dream this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up. You know, if you hadn't been humble, God would humble you.
Yep.
And so you always got to keep the main thing the main thing. I love people. I love this community. This community means everything to me. It's the best place in the world for youth sports.
Yes.
And
Raising a family.
And I watch 260. I watch Summer City. I watch you guys, and I get to see these kids play, and I know their parents. I know where they grew up. I know their stories. They walk the same line I did. You know, only just having a dream. You know, a dream, just hungry, just hungry. And this community's always wrapped themselves around people who had character and who was doing the right things. I think about guys that I watch come through this community and how everybody just pulled together and root for those kids after they left Fort Wayne.
Yep.
And no matter what school they went to, that's what this community has done.
Till they get to college.
Exactly. I get emotional when I think about what Fort Wayne's mean to me, what Fort Wayne means to me. I can tell you story after story after story. This town has never let me down. Anything I've ever wished, dreamed about, I could accomplish here. They made me believe that they got my support, they got my back, and they were going to support me from all-star games to youth programs to YWCA, you know. So everything that I wanted to do and had a vision for, I felt I can get it accomplished here because of the support base and the love affair that I was blessed to have with this community.
And Walter, the Jordan family was always known as sticking together and just a wonderful family.
Thank you.
Go back and talk about your family, one of 10. And I read in your book, 7 of the boys shared a bedroom. You know, go back and talk about, you know, your wonderful mom and dad and just the value system you were taught with and how the Jordan family, I mean, you had so many siblings that went on to, like, Indiana University and just the success of those 10 kids, man, and the greatness of the Jordan family.
Oh, absolutely. Everything starts with there. Everything starts with there. We had standards in our family. There were standards set. There was not a lot of talking. This is what we do. Jordans don't steal. Jordans don't drop their head. Jordans don't make excuses. And no such word as can't in the Jordan family. I remember I loved
reading that part.
I love that. No, say that again. Say that again, Walter, about can't.
No, you can't say the word can't. It's not allowed in the Jordan family. So I remember at 7 years old going to the store with my dad. Not very often we got a chance to go to the store with my dad because there's 10 of us. We couldn't get them all in the car. But my dad grabbed me because he was going to get some cigarettes one day, and I happened to be the only kid on the porch, so I jumped in the car. He said, jump in the car real quick. So I get to the store with my dad, and I'm 7 years old. I don't know what I'm doing, so he's in the line. I grab a candy bar, and I'm walking out the store with the candy bar, and I started eating a standing bar. He looks at me and he said, did you have any money? I said, no, Dad. He says, you stole that. He said, Georgians don't steal. And it hit me, but he waited till he got in front of all the family. He called everybody down in the living room. He said he stole the candy bar.
In front of the whole family?
In front of the whole family.
Wow.
Singled you out.
And he said, Jordans never take nothing that don't belong to them. If you ain't worked for it and you ain't earned it, it ain't yours.
Wow.
I'll never forget that. I was 7 years old.
Wow.
Now you got your brothers and sisters on you.
Absolutely. And we were a team. I tell people all the time, all I wanted to ever do is be a part of a team. I got cut in the 5th grade. I got cut in the layup line in the 5th grade. That's how bad I was.
Was it just a coordination thing for you?
First time playing, I just went out because my friend was playing.
Oh.
So the great Walter Jordan gets cut in 5th grade.
Oh, absolutely. I got
How
cut.
about that, Dave?
And you know, I went home crying because my best friend was crying because he got cut. It meant something to him. It didn't mean anything to me.
You cried for your friend.
Right. I walked in the house and my brothers and stuff was calling me sissy. You big sissy. Why are you crying? You expect to be on the team and you hadn't worked for it. You hadn't done anything. You hadn't practiced. And here I am. I'm doing all this, and I say, okay, so I'm gonna practice hard now. Going to my 6th grade year, I'm gonna make the team. So I worked my butt off, and I finally learned how to shoot a layup. And my brothers took me to the park every day trying to teach me how to shoot a layup. Finally learned how to. So I got cut in the 6th grade, but I passed the time I got cut in my 5th grade. I at least made it to halfway through the practice. So I got cut in the 6th grade. So in the 7th grade, now we were going to middle school at that time. That's middle school. So I go to Fairfield Elementary.
Yeah.
And all I wanted to do be on the team. I just wanted a jersey. I just wanted to be on the team at this point.
Just wanted a
Because
jersey.
all my brothers and my older sister, they're all on teams.
Yep.
And I saw how much fun they had on the team.
Sure.
I'm going to make this team. So 7th grade year, I found out, they didn't tell us, the tryouts, that I made the team because there was a no-cut rule. So,
Really?
So we had 22 basketball players on the team. I was the 22nd best player. And they had something called the comedy squad, where the 5 worst players on each team that you play against played at halftime. They called the comedy squad.
Comedy Squad.
Wow.
Brumball.
That wouldn't happen these days.
Yeah, Brumball actually coached the comedy
You
squad.
You coached the Comedy
So
Squad,
you-
Matt?
You know about that comedy squad. All the fans out getting hot dogs and
Yep,
cokes
no
and
one's-
players in the locker room getting rushed, and I'm out here playing. But you couldn't tell me anything. I had my jersey, even they misspelled the Fairfield on my jersey. I had the uniform, so everybody talked about me and said, "Jordan, why don't you give it up, man? Why you quit?"
Matt, was Charlie Earl at Fairfield?
No, it was at Franklin.
Franklin.
You were at Northwood. We got to talk about that Northwood story too.
That's great. That's great. Now, growing up, talk about the dynamic with your mom and dad. Who was kind of was there one that was a stickler, or one that was maybe a little more of a grinder, or one that maybe nurtured a little bit more? What was that dynamic like with you kids and your parents?
My dad was the wisest man I ever met in my life.
Wow.
He when he had to make a point to you, he would make a point and walk away. He wouldn't give you a chance to debate or talk about it because
Wow.
it was a wrap. It was like, that's it, period. Did you get my message? And he'll leave little subtle hints. I remember I was at Purdue. We had just played Michigan, and I think I had like 22 points, and Eugene Parker and I, my great late friend, my brother.
Yeah, God bless him.
We drove home after the game because we had a long weekend. So after the game, I just scored 22 on regional TV. So I come home and I go see my dad, and he's got all his friends on the porch. My mom at that time has passed away. And my dad says to me, and I said, "Dad, you see the game?" And my pop, he always kept us humble, right? He said, yeah, I saw the game. Get in there and mop the kitchen floor.
Oh, wait a minute. After 22 on Michigan,
On
you're
regional
mopping
TV.
the floor?
Absolutely.
Right, probably haven't seen Walter in a month.
Absolutely hadn't seen me.
Yeah.
But his point
Wow.
was, and I didn't understand until it got later.
Sure.
But he said, keep the main thing the main thing. Don't get it twisted. You still my son.
Yeah.
And you ain't all that. You know.
Wow.
So
Go mop the floor.
Yeah, those were solid messages that he was sent. I remember one of my brothers came home and was blaming one of the players for losing the game because he missed 2 free throws, and my dad was overheard the conversation, all the boys talking in the room. So he'll wait and he'll wait, and then he'll come in and say, "Come here, guys." So all 7 of us march into my dad's bedroom, and he says, "Oh, so Larry missed those 2 free throws, right? So Larry lost the game, right?" He said, "Yeah, Larry lost the game. Larry lost the game." Dad said, "Let me ask you a question. Did you miss a shot?" He said, "Did you play a perfect game? Did you get 20 rebounds? How many free throws did you miss?"
Skills you get.
You know what I'm saying? He said, "So you lost the game." And those are valuable lessons that for a middle school kid and your older brothers all playing sports, and you hear that, and I know not to come home with any excuses about anything or blaming anybody for anything. And that's how my mom though was the rock. She was strong. She was steadfast in her belief and her faith every day, every night out loud. Us 10 kids to be downstairs raising hell, doing what kids do.
Yeah.
And at 8 o'clock, like clockwork, she's got to get to work early in the morning. She works at the laundromat on her feet in 90+ degree heat with no air condition in the summertime. She'll be on her knees every night praying out loud and not getting up until she mentioned all of her children's name on a first name basis in some capacity, praying to the Lord. Lord, please help Walt, recover from this or do this or become a better student.
Wow.
Or pay attention. But she would do that every night. So
Is that where you really picked up your faith, Walter?
it took me a while because I for a long time I was, like kids, I thought I was exempt from anything that's bad or negative, but I knew I was living on Mama's prayers. My mom passed away when I was 17 years old. I'll never forget it. It was a week before we played our first game, my senior year. We were playing Northside for the first game of the season, Thanksgiving weekend. Yeah. My mom passed away, and she had been sick for a while, but none of my older siblings told me my mom was dying. I would think, no way God's going to take this woman, his child, who's perfect child.
Was you the
perfect
only one
mom.
that didn't know?
My 3 younger brothers and I did not
So
know.
Joe didn't know.
I was the 7th child.
Obviously Joe's too young to know.
I was the 7th child. So from me down, they weren't telling us anything. So I just assumed she was sick and she's gonna be okay. She would go to the hospital all the time, then come back home. She had cancer. Sure. I saw her losing weight, and all that stuff. But I just figured, God got her. She's good, that kind of thing. Like, God's not gonna take my mom. And then when she passed away, and the last words I heard her say, my dad had picked me up from Northrop from practice, and he said, we're going to stop by and see your mom. He said, Mom wants to see you. So that's when I knew my mom was passing. And when I went to the hospital to give her a hug and tell I love her, my dad said, well, you go out in the hallway. I'm going to say goodbye to your mom. Then we're gonna go home and get you something to eat. So I'm in the hallway, and she looks at my dad, and she says, that boy called my dad, honey, that boy going to be a pro.
Wow, that's beautiful, man. That's so beautiful, man. You know what? That's such a beautiful memory.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. But that spearheaded my desire to do anything with basketball, because right at that point, no one knew who I was. My senior year, I wasn't even honorable mention all city my junior year.
Oh, really?
I had one NAIA offer by a guy named J. Webb Horton. You guys might know J. Webb. But J. Webb believed in me. He's the first guy to believe in me and got me to Edinboro State for a college visit my junior year.
Wow. Where was that at, Edinboro?
In Pennsylvania. And my junior year, you guys might remember, Northrop was 24-3.
Yeah.
We was one game away from going to the state finals, and we had an awesome team. We had more talent my junior year than we did our senior year. So I started.
Who was on that team?
We had Mike Witt, who's one of the best pure shooters I've ever seen. Yeah. You guys, of course, Mike Muff. Mike Muff was a 20-20 man.
The ballers.
Yeah, and then we had guys like Wood Knight, who's all everything. Went to Arizona football scholarship, 6'6", Kerry Ehrman. Our team was so talented. Only reason why I started my junior year, because we were getting ready to play Jimmy Webb, who went to Cincinnati. I understand Jimmy Webb was an unbelievable player.
Unbelievable.
The year before, he had scored 40 points on our varsity. I was on JV. So coming back, those 9 seniors, Coach asked us who wants to guard Jimmy Webb. He had just embarrassed us with 40. So he's coming to our place now.
Yeah.
And with Northside had just beaten that team my junior year and just beaten us. So we were 0-1. And so I raised my hand. I just wanted to play. I said, I got him. Before I realized what I was doing, I said, dang, I got to guard Jimmy Webb. But he put me out on Jimmy Webb, and all those guys all week is trying to tell me how to guard him. Man, you going to get busted up. Jimmy Webb's going to score 50 on you. So I was just happy I was on the game. So I went home talking to my brothers, and I played against them all the time. One of my brothers, Charles, he's one of Bobby Knight's first walk-on. He walked on Indiana for Bobby Knight.
And that's saying something to walk on for Bobby Knight.
Yeah, back in the day. I mean, he was a baller. But he said, man, you play against me. You can play against this high school guy. So we played them, and then that game, and they were ranked number 1 in the state, and we ended up beating them. Jimmy Webb had 28, and I had 16, and we won the game.
There you go.
So then I started starting as a junior from that point on.
Now, your junior to senior year, that summer, you just seemed to really put your head down, and you were grinding out, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours a day of hooping up, whether it was up here or down Bloomington. You just played and played and played and almost willed yourself into, the all-state player. So talk a little bit about that. And that's really where I think people were surprised that, not that Northrop won a state championship, that they won it in your senior year, because you really came on.
And like I said, I had an angel with me at that time.
Yeah,
Yes.
you did. Yeah.
I had an angel. I didn't know it at the time, but I had a serious angel. And so what happened was...
And a great family support.
Absolutely. And a lot of kids don't have that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so remember, we can't say can't. So
Yeah.
when I was coming through, my brothers Charles and Willie and my sister Loretta, they were all at Indiana University. They went to school there. So I would spend a week there, 2 weeks there in the summertime. But between my junior and senior year, they took me to Bloomington for a month and a half. So I was there, and they would drop me off at the Hyper Building and leave me there for 8 or 9, 10 hours. So I was playing against college kids, and nobody in Fort Wayne saw the grind. I was grinding.
Yeah,
I was grinding. I was
that's what it
grinding.
was.
I was grinding. I was
Was
grinding.
Bobby watching?
Yes, he recruited me, but he didn't know Charles was my brother until he came to my house.
Did you get a sense of confidence, Walter? Just being down there and grinding in the summer against college guys?
Well, Joe, like we always say, once you play with older kids, your game goes up.
Absolutely. See, but I didn't know anything special was happening because it's inch by inch.
Gotcha.
You're still in the vacuum. You're still in the dark. You don't know because you're not playing against anybody on school. You don't know what's going on.
Sure.
So I didn't know what was going on, but I knew that my leadership piece was coming together. I knew I had an enthusiasm about the game that all of a sudden I just loved it. I mean, I was like a sponge. Anything. And George McGinnis, I love George McGinnis. So I remember East Washington, and I used to think about Bobby Wilkerson, all the teams, guys I played who was 2 years older than me. So I just dream about this. I dream about it. And so when I was in Bloomington, I found out the state championship game was going to be in Bloomington on March 23rd. So I had this vision. I would come back home. I tell my teammates, Mike Muff was my guy. Mike was the best teammates I ever had. Mike was a 20-20 guy. And when Mike plays, he plays. So I told Mike, I said, March 23rd, we're going to be in Bloomington playing for the state championship in front of 17,000 people. Then I got Tom Madden, my point guard, and said, Tom Madden, we're going to start.
He's my teacher at Northrop.
Here's what we're going to do.
So it was almost like an affirmation.
Oh, absolutely.
You just totally saw it and believed it. Now, how big were you at this point? Were you the full 6'7"?
I was 6'5". I was 6'5".
Okay.
And but I weigh about $110. I think
You were slanky.
I think my afro weighed more than I did at the time. But no excuses. So we were like we were just hungry, man. And then we start to gel, and then the first game I'll never forget. My mom passed, and all that week buried her on a Thursday. My teammates, my classmates, for those who know anything about Northrop at that time, racial tension was incredible because of the busing situation.
Yeah, you guys were bust.
We were
out
the
there.
first ones bust.
That's the first school.
Nationwide.
Wow.
Nationwide.
Really?
Yes, it was a big problem nationwide. They didn't want us out there, and we didn't want to be out there. I wanted to be a Tiger because that's all my family went.
Central.
Yeah, but God had a bigger plan, bigger than my plan, right? So we went out there, and I remember the fights and people being thrown through the windows. And this classmate, my senior class.
He's not joking there.
That is unbelievable.
And my mom used to say, hey, I better not ever have to come out that school for anything. That means you better do right. You better treat people right. You better not get involved in that mess. My mom didn't play isms. She didn't play none of that mess. You're going to do the right thing. That's what you're going to do. Those are standards that were set. So we never look at people like, I always tell people, I see faces, not races. You see races, I see faces.
That's fantastic. Say that one more time, Walter.
Yeah, I see faces, not races.
Thank you.
Most people see races, not faces. The character of a person. Who are they? Who are they? That's why Tom Madden's my brother.
Yeah.
And if you came to the camp this week, the Hoops and Standard camps, I have a registration table. We give out gear every day, and 6 ladies show up every day. 6 ladies. I want you guys to get this. former cheerleaders at Northrop High School,
Wow.
professional women retired, all done well, degreed up from all different schools, IU, Notre Dame.
And came out to your camp.
They don't come out. They
work.
be there. They come out to work, volunteer to help my camp. And
Wow.
they look me up.
Wow.
Well, we got you. What you need.
That's beautiful.
And
Man.
being a 20% black in my high school and have them vote me the best male citizen to me, and being a Sertoma Award winner.
Sertoma, that's
That was big.
He's
That-
had so many awards, but that Sertoma Award is the top.
I mean,
Do you think the sports, Walter?
Wow.
Do you think the sports eased the tension at all, or what? I mean,
A-
do you think that
absolutely.
was something that brought people together?
absolutely. I told you, I watched those the upperclassmen. Okay.
Yeah.
And we saw it. They give us too much credit. They give our basketball team the credit for bringing the school together, but it's the examples and standards that were set by the coaches, the awesome Buzz Dorfers of the
staff.
world,
Yeah.
Bob Dillies of the world, Jim Kyman of the world, Stavaretti's of the world.
Staff.
It's to love the Patty Matones of the world.
Yes.
The
Great name.
Paul Spools of the world. Those people set the tone. They made sure that we knew who we were and that they love us, and that rallied the teams. And we start winning. Man, we have never played a game in my memory in high school where we didn't sell out on the road. On the road, our fans traveled everywhere. We packed the Coliseum when we played Snyder.
Yeah, talk about that for a second. 'cause
It's
you know
amazing.
what? I miss those days, man, of those
Absolutely.
games at the Coliseum, because those were special, weren't they?
I hate it because the kids they can't
don't-
comprehend what they're missing.
Yeah, the energy.
They have no idea what they're missing because nothing was like. The dream was to play in the Coliseum to get interviewed by Hilliard Gates.
Hilliard Gates.
Hilliard Gates. That's right.
If you got interviewed by Hilliard Gates, you made it. If Hilliard Gates said, "Marvelous young man,"
Yeah.
I mean, you made it.
I see you, Hilliard.
Hilliard was my guy. So
He was
that was
awesome.
that was part of my dream too, because that means you won something first
Yeah.
of all, and he saw something in you. So all that, man.
So he did it in '74, and this ties how long I've known him and known of Walter. My brother went to Northrop in '80, and his brother Joe was one of the stars of that team, and they sold out on a Tuesday night,
Absolutely.
the Coliseum.
Wow.
Full Coliseum.
Absolutely.
I mean,
That
the
was
full
such a
deal.
great era, though. That
Matt-
Walter's
Matt
era
actually- Matt
into the
did
early
too.
'80s. It seemed to me like that's when basketball, the high school, the Big Ten. I mean, the basketball
Yeah.
was just fantastic, man.
Incredible. It blows me away. And as I traveled and went on to Purdue, people still recognize me more for Northrop High School
Yeah.
than Purdue University.
Okay, so that's a special year. At what point in that state championship year did you guys play a game or have a moment where you looked at each other and you thought, man, we got something here? What was that moment where it really started to kind of cement in your minds that we can make a run?
It didn't hit us right away, but I knew something special was happening. My mom passed on the Thursday, and I'm telling you, you had all these white folks coming to my home in Masterson Street, and everybody's like, "What the hell's going on around here?" But that didn't happen back in the '70s, right?
No.
But they would come every day for that week. My teammates and classmates and some of those young ladies I told you about earlier, they
Sure.
would venture into the heart of the inner city to spend time. You see them on the porch hanging out, loving me, waiting, supporting me. Something special was happening. So that Thursday night, after the homegoing service, my brothers got together and said, "Mama will want you to play because they've been here for you. You need to go be there for them." I hadn't been to school, so I somehow had some strength and mustered up and went out and played. We played.
How did you play that game?
It's my angel, because I was in the locker room crying before the game, and I went back there when the JV game, just cried and asked Mom to please help me. So I went out there and I walked on the floor. We walked on the floor. It's packed. You playing Northside Northrop. It's packed. Northside's favored to win the SAC. We had just had 24-3. We weren't projected to do anything. Northside, Southside was supposed to be Reggie Burt and all those guys was supposed to be the stuff. Northrop was supposed to be like third or fourth. So I come out to warm up. both sides just stand up and
Stand up.
starts cheering.
Wow, that is
because I
gives you
just
chills.
lost my mom, and I'm just sitting there and
Wow.
I don't know, I'm gonna make it through this. I don't know
Amazing,
how I'm gonna make
amazing,
this, and
amazing.
that's what I say. What happened in my life, you can't out bucket list God's purpose for your life. You can't out dream this stuff. You know, I
Both
tell
sides
people,
standing up for him.
Yeah, and you can't make this stuff up. And then with, some second stuff on the clock, I get fouled. We're down 1, and somehow make 2 free throws. We win the game.
Wow.
If that ain't God, don't bring chills to your mind, and don't let you think something special happening.
Wow.
So the very next day, we get on the bus to go to South Bend Adams, play South Bend Adams. Herman the helicopter, South Bend, that Glenn Hop 7-footer. They got everything right. So we go down there, and they beat us. So they beat us on the way
There's
back.
the one.
That's the one loss.
I wondered who it was.
And on the way back, Mike Muff stands on the bus and he said, "We're not losing anymore." Mike Muff said, "We ain't losing anymore." And Mike Muff, when he speaks, he's big. Yeah, I remember Mike Muff. When he speaks, you listening.
Wow.
And
That was the moment.
Yeah,
That was the moment
and-
where you guys looked at each other. Wow.
And
That's a great story,
but,
Dave.
But we had great leaders on that team. We had guys who already was committed to go to college on other sports. Craig Klein was the college quarterback. You had Dennis Hedrick was a hell of a football player, went to Ball State. Those guys was stars in their own right in their own sports. So
Sure.
they held us accountable in practice. They'll come and knock our heads off in practice, and they held us accountable. So those guys are like my brothers to this day. We have so much love and respect for each other. So we had something special, but
Sure.
we ended up going down to Marion. That's when we knew something. We went down to Marion. You know how Marion is.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy place. Had Coach Scott and Coach Green, and
Yeah.
they never been beat. You don't beat Marion and Marion.
That's how long Green was coaching. He was there with Walter.
Yeah, and you had to bring it in Marion.
Yeah.
Tradition.
So we went down there, and it was tied at halftime, and we ended up beating them by 25.
Wow.
Second half.
Woo, man.
That's when you can hear pin drop in that place. We played a perfect basketball. That's when we said, "Hey, man, we can do this." Because
We beat Marion. We can win this.
But you guys remember, and you guys can attest to this. I always felt that Fort Wayne didn't get any respect from Indianapolis.
That's what we was talking
Still.
about. The Ivy
Still.
Tech deal.
Yeah, and
That's
still.
exactly what we was talking about before you came on.
So we see it happen all the time when Central Catholic or Tom Brayley and all these guys and Central's with all the great athletes and Northside had the great athletes, never made the all-star teams. They never did anything. They had to get out of the section, get out of the regionals
Yep.
to get some kind of love, right? The all-star teams, we didn't have people making the all-star teams
Correct.
and all the sports. So that was in our mind too. We got to earn some respect here.
We got a chip on our shoulder now.
Oh, absolutely. So that was part of our rallying cry. And I know, like, you had Eugene Parker, in my estimation, 74, he's the best player in the SAC. Eugene was an unbelievable high school player.
Played for Concordia, correct?
Right. He never got out of the sectionals, so he never made the Indiana All-Star team.
That's-
And because we won and got to Bloomington, people got to see me play, that's when all the magic started to happen.
And on that run, as we wrap up this first segment with you, take us through the state championship run. I mean, that's back when I missed the single tournament.
Oh.
I played in the single tournament.
Wow.
People don't understand. I lobbied and begged and fought
Wow,
to
Joe.
stop them from taking away the single tournament because it was, to me, that was Indiana sports.
Absolutely.
So take a moment and talk about
Absolutely.
back then winning a sectional was a big deal.
Absolutely.
I mean, take a moment and just kind of take us through that journey of having to win a sectional, having to win the day and night in the regional, the day and
You're
night.
playing 2-2-2.
Absolutely.
I mean, talk about what people just don't realize what kind of run that is.
Now they're playing
Because,
one.
I mean, they used to when I played, and I think it was the same situation with you. They started a day with like 300 high school teams. They'd come out with this draw,
Yep.
and we'd put it up
Absolutely.
on the board, and we'd
Absolutely.
say, "Okay, man, we got to go through." You
Absolutely.
Gotta, yeah. Talk about that, Walter.
You're 110% right. It hurts me that what Indiana's done to Indiana high school basketball.
Killed it.
It's killed it.
I mean, the small towns, they loved it. They would shut down the town. The stories they would tell at the barbershops and the stories, the upsets that would
Hoosiers
happen.
tell us
Hoosiers.
the whole show.
And Walter, talk about it. When I played, we got down to the end of the semi-state, but we went through teams that were up-tempo, fast-paced teams. We played teams that would hold the ball. I mean, we'd play a game, we'd score 90 points, and then we'd have to play a team and win with 30 points. I mean, the different towns, the different teams, the different styles, man. To me, that was just the sweetness because you had to be good in so many different facets to win the whole thing.
You're exactly right. And don't forget the amazing players. I started thinking about Gary Yodas of the world from Westview and just how good he was.
Yes.
Every team had the Lozier twins from Logansport. When we people don't realize we beat them by 1 point before we got to the state tournament. They gave us the toughest game in the semi-state before we played Anderson. So you're exactly right, man. The Indiana high school basketball, when you can go and you can dream this stuff about playing these teams, but every team was well coached.
Yeah,
Every team was well coached. You never had these coaches wasn't invested in these kids. You know, these coaches was vested in the community, was invested in the teams. Today, I don't see the whole community rallying behind these teams where the coaches vested in these kids year round, where they're working with them as a team, as a group. They're getting them in the gyms. They go play travel basketball, different coach, and all kind of other foolishness. That doesn't mean don't build character and the environment you need to win and to get to where you need to go. We had that. We had that environment. We had coaches that cared about us, and we had mutually agreed standards between the parents, the student body, and the players. Those mutually agreed standards. This is what we do. This is our philosophy. This is how we play. We're going to play for each other. You know, you play for the name on the front, but you also play for the respect for the name on the back. And so those are things, man, that I hate to see kids don't get a chance to experience, you know.
Walter, what was that? What was it like that moment coming out in the layup line, the state championship game of 1974? You're in the layup line. That had to be surreal. And what were the moments that still stick in your mind when you lay your head down at night and you think of that state championship team, man? What are some of those moments, man? And what was it like? What was the talk before the game, man?
What was the locker room had to be? Was it loud,
there you
quiet?
are, man.
Well, we saw it coming. It was like we had made up our mind that we was going to do this. From the sectional pairing. Remember they had the sectional pairing on channel 33?
Yeah.
33. We all together.
Yeah,
Watching sectional pairing.
Hilliard Gates,
sectional
Hilliard
one,
Gates, baby.
sectional 1, sectional 2.
Yes.
We sitting there watching the drawing because getting out of the sectional back
big.
is unbelievable.
Yes.
Because all those teams know you. They hate you. They want to beat you. They don't want you to advance. So it's a war. And we knew it was a war. We had to get out of the sectionals. When we got to the regionals, we felt pretty good. You only have to beat one SEC team. And every SEC team was really, really good. I mean, we had 5 or 6 teams.
There was no bad teams.
There
like
was
there
5
is
or 6
today.
teams that could have won it.
Sure.
And so then we got to the semi-state, and the year before, Anderson had blew us out in the last game. They was undefeated, and they had everybody back. So we had to play Logansport, and Mike Muff got in foul trouble in the second quarter. And Coach Tilly was trying to get him out of the game. Then he got his 4th foul in the second quarter.
Ooh.
So, and Lozier twins went to Michigan, and I never forget it. And I think that's when that's when I knew that I was pretty good because Mike Muff,
I got to stand up.
who was the man, was sitting on the bench telling me, take over. He was telling me, get Walt the ball. You know, Mike Muff was saying, hey, you know, he wasn't thinking about his stuff. He's like, let's go, Walt. We got to get me to the next game. You got to get me to the next game.
Yeah.
So we ended up pulling that game out about 1 point. So we played Anderson. It was a wrap. We were so fired up in that locker room. It was a wrap. They had to calm us down. And everybody said, man, Anderson's going to blow North about again. They're not going anywhere. We knew we had Anderson. 2 minutes into the game, Tony Marshall, who's a beast. Tony was a beast. He's an Indian All-Star. He tried that intimidation factor on Mike Muff. 2 minutes into the game, Mike looked at him and said, not today. He said, not today. He said, it's a new day. Referee had to come and break him up.
Yeah.
Man, you couldn't tell us
this is
nothing.
on.
We went in the locker room, hey, we got them. We got them.
Wow.
And so that's when we know. But when we got to Bloomington,
It's Jeffersonville in the championship, wasn't it?
yeah, we beat Lafayette, Georgia. Jeff, we had to beat the number 1, number 2, and number 3 ranked teams in the state to
Went
win.
through everybody.
Yeah, we had to go. So remember they talked about that conference, NC, what the conference they call down there with Muncie,
Oh,
and
Muncie Central,
Newcastle.
Richmond.
Sure.
They always talk about them being the best conference, right?
They got the most state
Yeah,
championships.
yeah, all you heard about, and nobody picked us to win. I think one sports writer in Fort Wayne picked us to win it, and so we go in there, and we felt like we felt like we was a better team. We had put it in our mind that we better than any of those teams, and we were going to bring home the trophy. We wouldn't come down there to coming in second. Nobody knew about us. Nobody gave us any respect. 17,000 fans. When I came out the locker room, here's a story. Jeffersonville's playing Franklin in the first game. We were playing the second game, playing Lafayette Jeff in the second game. Wayne Walls, who later became my teammate at Purdue, he was so damn good. 2 minutes into the game, I had to stop watching the game and go in the locker room and wait till we got to play. Because he was intimidating me that good. He was that good.
Wow.
He was the best player in '74, even though Larry Bird and all of us played on the Indiana All-Star team together.
Sure.
Wayne Wall was the best player, high school player at that time. So when that's one of my best memories. Like, wow, but I was so focused I can't let him get in my head thinking if we win, I got to guard him.
Yeah.
I'm in trouble. So I was just unconscious. Those 4 weeks, man, I'm telling you, it wasn't me. It was my angel. I was just growing and coming and getting better and better and better and better, having triple-double one game in the tournament and all this stuff, man. It's like, wow, I couldn't believe it. So that's how I felt when I got to warm up in the state championship game. We were just so focused, and they used to call me cheerleader. You guys remember that,
Yep.
right?
In Purdue, yeah.
Yeah, so I had to calm down. People have to say you got to get hyped for the game. That was never my issue. My issue was slow down, take deep breath, relax, and make sure you're not overly doing it. So that was
How much was Coach Dilly involved in all this?
Coach Dilly is the man. Coach Dilly, when you got a coach that don't overcoach,
That's where I was wondering.
don't overcoach and make the game fun, and you know he loves you, and he'll do anything for you. He made the game fun. We look forward to going to practices on Saturday. He used to kick us out the gym, but him and Mike Muff had a special relationship. He knew how to motivate Mike and keep him focused, and he would come to me and I'll have a good game, and he'll come to me before practice, and he said, I need to get everybody's attention, Walt. He said, I'm going to ride your butt today.
That's fantastic.
And
You
I
know
say,
what?
yes, sir, Coach. Yes, sir, Coach.
Unbelievable. The run to the state championship, the Indiana All-Star. Coming up next, on to Purdue, man. So coming up next, on to Purdue, the great Walter Jordan, and then on to some professional basketball on the 260.
Welcome back, sports enthusiasts, to the 260, broadcasting live from the heart of Fort Wayne's sports epicenter, the Spiece Fieldhouse. Join us on this exhilarating journey as we uncover stories of perseverance, teamwork, and passion that have unfolded within these walls. Visit SpieceFieldhouse.com to learn more. And here we go. You, me, us, and them. We are the 260.
And that was the 260 in 1974, Dave. A deep run all the way to the state championship. We're joined by the great Walter Jordan. Walter, I'm going to ask you to turn around for a second and look at that Spiece memorabilia. Keep that mic a little bit close if you can, but turn around. Those are two of your teammates from the 1974 Indiana All-Star team. Now, one of them we recognize, Larry Legend, but we had lots of questions with a lot of guests leading up to who was number 6 on that team, and you know all about that team, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. One of my favorite teams, of course. I tell people all the time that number 3 guy.
Yeah.
We played 14 games together and we were undefeated. I don't know if it was him or for me. But number 6, that's Charlie Mitchell from New Albany, and they won the state championship the year before we did.
That's awesome. So
Absolutely.
Charlie Mitchell and Larry Bird, and
Absolutely.
you know, to finish up on your high school as we head to Purdue, just take a minute and talk about what it meant to you and the recognition to be an Indiana All-Star.
Wow. Never dreamt it, never thought about being an Indiana All-Star, none of it. I was just hoping to have a chance to go to college and play basketball somewhere. But I also knew the importance of winning. I know what was happening in my life. I know that after we won the state championship and we have the parade at Glenbrook, and then the mayor called school out for the whole community. There was no school on that Monday because we won state championships. So all schools got called
So that's
out.
why everybody loves Walter Jordan.
So there was no school that Monday. But that Tuesday, when I got back to school, I got off the bus. There was a guy by the name of Johnny Orr waiting to see me, the head coach of Michigan.
Wow.
And then about a couple hours later, I went back to class, and there was a guy by the name of Bob Donowall from IU that was waiting to see me. So something was going on. I didn't know what. So about, I would say right before I got ready to go home, the AD calls me, Mark Chefs calls me and said, come to the office. And I get to the office, there's a box of letters, about 100 letters from coaches that had handwritten me and overnight shipped me offers.
Wow. Overnight offers.
Overnight. And I had nothing.
Got to be first.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, it just blows me away.
Wow, what a moment, man.
Yeah, absolutely. So we talk about being emotional and crying, and
Wow.
and you know, we didn't have cell phones at that time, so I couldn't call my brothers. I couldn't call anybody, But I couldn't wait to get home. But I wanted to hide the letters because I didn't want my teammates and classmates. So I had to get a bag and put them in the bag because I was on the bus. I was on the bus. We didn't have practice, so I was on the bus heading home. I didn't want all the students to say, "What you got?" So, it was just like it blew me away. Seriously, it blew me away.
So why Purdue?
Well, you guys know my mom had passed, and I had three younger brothers, and all my other siblings was married or in school.
Be closer to home.
Right, and I
Wow.
had to be closer to home. So right away, it eliminated some people. Even though Mike Muff and I was planning on taking that Hawaii trip just to take the Hawaii trip, but I narrowed it down to Marquette. I loved Marquette at the time. Michigan State, IU, and Purdue. Yes, sir.
So what sealed it with Purdue? Now, obviously close to home, but what was that moment? What was the moment for Walter Jordan when you said, you know what, that's my team, Purdue?
Well, they were my fifth choice. Indiana was my first choice. I loved the Hoosier at that time. So what happened was I was at home, and Eugene had just visited Tulane. He was their number one recruit. in Purdue, Eugene was their number one recruit. So I wasn't doing anything. He calls me up and says, "Hey man, I'm gonna go down to Purdue. I took my official visit, but I want to go take another look just to make sure this, where I want to go." He said, "Why don't you ride with me?" And anybody know Eugene Parker, know his integrity, what kind of guy he is. And
Yes.
I've always looked up to him. Very few guys I look up to, but Eugene was that guy. He was that guy that I had so much respect for him. I said, man, I'm going to hang out with Eugene Parker. I'm still thinking I'm just nobody, right? I'm going to hang out with Eugene Parker. He called me and asked me to go to Purdue with him because I'm still I'm still trying to figure where I'm at.
Yeah.
So I ride down to Purdue, and then they don't know I'm coming. And they're recruiting a guy named Oddie Matthews out of Illinois. And so Oddie was supposed to be on that trip with Eugene. Oddie was a number two prospect. Eugene was their number one.
Yeah.
So, but Oddie, like I said, there's no cell phone, so Oddie didn't show up. Oddie had already committed to Illinois.
Oh my gosh, the
staying
fate.
home.
Right. So
Fate, Dave.
Yeah.
So when I show up,
Thank you, Eugene.
when I show up, a couple assistant coaches start calling me Oddie Matthews.
Oh, no. I'm Walter Jordan.
I just won a state championship, by the way.
I didn't say a word. Then one of the coaches walk in. I guess he's the head of recruiting. Then he looks at all the other coaches sitting around. They call me Oddie. I ain't say anything. And Eugene and I looking at each other laughing. And then the coach comes in. He said, Walter Jordan. He said, what the hell are you doing here? so and on the way back, Eugene put the full court on Purdue. He had told him, he said, man, if we can get Walt, and Eugene was telling me, he said, because I was
going to help my decision.
I was a guard in high school, so they were trying to recruit me to be a two guard, and Eugene was going to be the point guard. I was 6'5", and I played guard in high school, so that was the plan. Then we got there, and I grew 3 inches, and then I started to rebound a little bit, and I got stuck at the 3 position. But yeah, it was the best decision for me. I got a chance to be with my brother, and it was a good ride.
Well, it was a great
Where did Mike
great
go?
decision for Purdue, because Purdue, Dave, he rolled into Purdue and he averaged over 14 points a
yeah.
game. You had one of the greatest freshman
He's
seasons.
still in the top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, we remember the word. We can't say can't, so that always stuck to me. No matter who I was playing against, I never feared anybody. I wasn't afraid of the big moment. I loved the big game. Mackey was a special place. Always tried to win. I loved to win, and I used to, whatever my skill set was, I had to maximize it.
Yep.
I didn't always play a great game, but I always gave it a great effort. So that was my thing that I wanted to do, to not be outworked. And even when I played with guys like Larry Bird against Magic Johnson, the Kevin McHale's of the world, and the Big Ten was awfully tough. I mean, the IU teams with undefeated, Scott Mays and All-American Bobby Wilkerson. I mean, on and on. Every college,
You just stop and think who he's played against, man.
in the
Cream
Big
of the
Ten.
crop.
Yeah, in the Big Ten, man, I'm telling you.
Big Ten was the top there was.
There was no nights off. None.
Now,
None.
Walter, when you guys played back then, didn't you guys play that Thursday, Saturday schedule?
Yes,
Wasn't
sir.
that the schedule you guys
Yes, sir.
played?
Yes, sir. Good memory. Yeah, we. And the thing about on the Big Ten back then, even today, winning, on the road is crazy. Even Northwestern back in the day, they had a kid by the name of Billy McKinney, who went to play for a long time in the NBA, and Wisconsin had Wes Matthews. And,
Wow, Wes
I
Matthews.
mean, you had to lace them up, man.
There's somebody at every school.
Oh, absolutely, man. And being a freshman and getting the opportunity to play against those guys right off the bat, man. And I had Wayne Walls with me and Eugene Parker, so those 3 freshmen, we starting at the middle of the season. But I remember the first Big Ten game we played, I'm 17 years old. We had just won the state championship. And then 6 months later, we're playing IU, ranked number 1 in the country, at their place on national TV.
Wow.
And they
What was that like? What was that like? That layup line that night coming out for that, man.
It's scary as hell.
There you are.
Just sitting there, okay, I got to guard him. Got to guard
There's
him.
Wilkerson. Man.
I'll tell you a funny story. We were playing UCLA in the middle of that long UCLA winning streak, and everybody knew the Bruins and what they were doing, right? So they got bookend first-team All-Americans at the forward spot. They got Richard Washington and Marcus Johnson.
Marcus Johnson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Flat out ballers, right?
Yep.
And little Wayne Walls and about $120 apiece. We're playing them at Pauley Pavilion. Halftime, Wayne looks at me in the locker room. He says, "Man, we need to switch up. You need to take Richard. I need to take Marcus." I said, "Hell, they both got 20."
Doesn't matter who's guarding them.
Absolutely. Hey, what
Now
up?
you started 102 straight college games, man. Talk about that. And Dave and I always talk about with athletics like that, the ability to manage injuries or the ability to be tough and to play through things.
Was there ever a big injury for you?
I missed one game in my career, and that's because that was a safety precaution. We were against Butler, and Butler wasn't very good at that time. So they set me. I could have played, but I had twisted my ankle in practice.
Okay, they don't
but
need
yeah,
more.
then I had tendonitis a little bit, and Eugene and I both we had to ice our knees after every practice, but that was just common growth and all that stuff. I grew 3 inches in college.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
and
So
I
you
was
were
still
late.
growing.
So you just had that
I was
late
still
growth
growing.
spurt, huh?
Absolutely.
Now, when you grew those 3 inches, did you feel like that helped your game as far as, I mean, here you are an off guard.
Absolutely.
That's the
that
biggest
had to
story
be-
right there.
I mean,
He's
that
off
had to
guard.
be- I mean,
They all think
that-
he's a center.
yeah, that had to be incredible all of a sudden to grow 3 inches.
Well, absolutely. I always dreamed about being 6'8". I dreamt about being 6'8". I always wanted to be 6'8". I don't know why. I just wanted to be 6'8". And Lord granted me that option. But the bottom line was when I was playing, I had so much love and passion for the game. It wouldn't have mattered, you know.
Sure.
But when I got to play early my freshman year because Jerry Nicholson, who was a senior, tore up his knee in preseason. So coach come to me and said, "Hey, I need a small forward. I need a scoring small forward." And he says, "Do you want to start or you want to stay at guard position?" I said,
I'm starting.
That's a dumb question, coach. I said, yes, sir. So then I end up my freshman year being second in team in scoring behind John Garrett and second on the team in rebounding. So since I showed him I could rebound, I ended up staying at that position.
Wow. Name a couple of guys you played with at Purdue that were just dogs. I mean, who were the guys that just blew you away with the skill level that you played with at Purdue?
Joe Barry Carroll first.
Yeah.
Joe Barry Carroll
Wasn't he the number one draft
Number one pick.
was just unbelievably talented. Of course, Jerry Seasteen ended up playing a long time with Boston Celtics.
Sure.
What was he like?
Tough as nails. You go to war.
I remember
you
him
go
with
to
the
war.
Celtics.
You go to war with Jerry Seasteen.
Really?
I was going to say he didn't put up with too much.
No, he.
I think
so-
Bird.
He's from Martinsville.
Where is he from?
Martinsville.
Martinsville.
I remember reading something about Larry that he respected Jerry.
Cease would fight you. He would fight
Yeah,
you.
they say he had no problem punching you in the mouth
No,
if you
he,
needed it.
he would fight you. He reminded me a lot of Tom Madden. That's how Tom Madden was.
Sure.
And I can play with those guys because the biggest thing is you trust them.
Yeah.
And you know that they're gonna be ready to play. And that's the thing I love about Purdue. When I was at Purdue, we loved the big game. We loved to play. We would play Indiana at midnight. Didn't matter. They were undefeated. They were. The 3 out of the 4 times we played them, we had them beat. People don't realize they blew us out my freshman year. But those juniors and seniors, when we were freshmen and sophomore, they beat us by 2 points. They beat us by 3 points. They beat us by 1 point. That's what IU did.
you're
when
right
when
there.
when they was undefeated, we were right there. We played a perfect game. We shot 60% from the field. We had 4 turnovers.
Only
And
4.
and they still beat us. That's how good they were.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's
So-
how good they were.
So you played with dogs on your side. Was Magic the toughest guy you played against in college? Or name a couple of guys that you played against in college that were just incredible?
Larry Bird, of course, Magic Johnson, Kevin McHale, Michael
Who'd Kevin McHale play for?
Minnesota Gophers.
Oh, that's right.
Minnesota.
Man, that Big Ten, man.
Yeah.
Wes
That's what
Matthews,
he's trying to
Kevin
say.
McHale,
Every
Magic Johnson. Woo!
Kevin McHale was not the best player on that team. You had Michael Thompson. You had,
Michael Thompson?
Wow.
You had Ray Williams. You had Flip Saunders.
Flip Saunders,
This
yeah.
is Minnesota's team. They had the most talent in the Big Ten.
Wow.
Ray Williams was an unbelievable college basketball player, and Michael Thompson was College Player of the Year.
Wow.
And so
Great
when you
names.
go in the Williams Arena, man, I remember a game we played them, and Kyle Mason was on the team that time. At the time, I was a sophomore, and Kyle Mason was a freshman. He played that 1 year at Purdue. We went in triple overtime, and I mean they led the whole game. We fought back, and we thought we had won a national championship because we had to fight like hell to beat that team. That team was so talented. They shot the ball so well. So those are things that stand out. But man, every team had had studs. I mean, you had to lace them up and you had to be ready. So that kind of stuff I love. I love it to play against the best, and not everybody can do that. Not everybody get excited about that. But
Sure.
I love playing in the big game. I just think that's why you play sports. That's what you dream about, right? My hardest thing for
That's
me.
why you practice 6 to 8 hours a night.
My hardest thing for me is getting ready for chumps, people that you're supposed to beat.
Sure.
But my junior high coach used to tell me all the time, when chumps get hot, watch out.
Yep.
So respect everybody.
Rutgers, that beat Rutgers for Purdue the last 2 years.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I mean,
Absolutely.
2 years in a row.
Yep.
Absolutely.
So you're in the Purdue Hall of Fame.
Yes, sir.
So you finish up at Purdue,
Yes.
professional basketball.
Cleveland
I mean,
Cavaliers.
from the Fairfield comedy team at halftime to professional basketball. Talk about that part of your journey.
You can't make this stuff up, man. It's beyond you. It's gotta be a higher being. It's all I can figure it out. I still shake my head sometimes about what happens in my life. I like even my camp. I'm just like blown away. Like, who comes to see Walter Jordan camp? Who?
200 kids.
Like who?
After all these years, 200 kids just coming rolling in.
I mean, it just blows me away. I mean, how? Why 4,000 people going to buy my book? Seriously? But yeah, I'm just so deeply humbled, man. I'm humbled. I can't tell you how humbled I am about this. And who dreams about being in the Hall of Fame at Purdue University?
Yeah, it's awesome.
Who dreams about that? And so, but it's my angel, man. It's the people surround me. No one's accomplished anything significant by themselves. It's always a team. It's always a team. Like you guys, it's a team.
Sure.
No one-man effort. Everything
It's not
we
just
do.
me and Joe.
We got Sonar, Denise, Charlene,
Absolutely.
Ryan,
We got
Ben,
Brumball.
And everybody,
Brumball. Yeah.
and everybody makes the magic happen.
Yes, they do.
And so, I suck by myself, but you put me on the right team, I'm pretty damn good.
Yeah.
So, everything I've done has been about team, and Team Jordan, it's a championship team,
Yeah.
and all those 18 other teams I played on, they're good, but they're the championship. They ain't the foundation. They ain't the standards. They ain't the ones that you cry for. I tell kids today at my camp, I said, what's your why? Your why got to be so big that every time you think about it, makes you cry.
Why makes you cry?
Your why has got to be so big because it can't include just you. If your why is only about you, you're not going to win. You got why y'all get up in the morning to go to work for your children? Love. You cry when you think about your kids.
Beautiful.
You put that extra work in. You go to work. That's why we do what we do.
That's why we get up.
Absolutely, and kids need to understand that. I try to tell the kids. I said, you got to understand, love is the greatest motivator there is.
And Walter, the Purdue Hall of Fame, played a year at NBA, you played CBA, you played
Overseas.
overseas, you did it all professionally.
He was
Went
playing
on-
He was playing overseas, Joe, when Northern was playing Northside at old Northside gym. I was sitting on his lap.
Yeah, so I mean, and when you and
Trying
then
to say
you,
I'm old.
yeah, and then you put on the Parade of Stars.
That
You
was awesome.
That was awesome back then. I remember that. That was a big thing for us. You do these camps. You coach the youth teams. Do you think that was your purpose in life? That was your journey? I mean, you've had an amazing journey with your family and your father and your dear mother and her passing and how that impacted you.
Northrop High School.
Northrop High School, Purdue, professional basketball. Is that your purpose, Walter, on this journey?
That is my ministry. That's my purpose. That's why God's granted me favor. I really believe that. There's some stories I talk about in the book that when I was 22 years old, I got drafted by the Nets, and then I went to play in a league called the WBA, which was the best league before. It was better than the G League. It only lasted 1 year, but it was in Pasco, Washington. We just finished the regular season, and all the players, we went out to have a drink, and then I got back home in the middle of the night. I woke up, I couldn't walk. I had something called the writer's syndrome. It took us 5 specialists to figure out what was wrong with me. In the midst of all that, the Denver Nuggets.
He's 22 years old.
I'm 22 years old.
Wow, and all of a sudden you wake up, you can't walk.
I've been there before.
Yeah, so you understand.
I had Lyme disease, and my wife had to pick me up out of the booth at a restaurant because I couldn't walk.
Wow. And
That's-
there you
that's
are.
crazy.
And there you are. You're
That's
22
crazy.
And
years
it's
old.
scary.
22 years old, a professional basketball player. Man, that had to be
So
the
what was
scariest
that
moment.
disease you had? I had Lyme disease. What was yours?
Called Reiter syndrome.
Reiter syndrome.
Riether.
So what
Yes.
was that?
It took a while for somebody to figure out.
Same with me.
It's a rare disease. I had to go to 5 different specialists. We had just finished our regular season. We got beat in the playoffs. So 2 days later, I get a call from Denver Nuggets and saying, hey, we want to sign you to a guaranteed contract. George McGinnis had just got hurt. They're going to sign me to a guarantee so I can finish out the playoff and play for them next year. I made all conference. I was one of the leading scorers in the league, and I was getting ready to get my opportunity. I was the last player cut by the Nets, but they didn't. I got cut because they didn't have any guaranteed money for me. So remember the rosters went from 12 to 11.
Yeah.
That was, and then the ABA folded. So
Yeah,
all
so,
the-
so he's right in the mix of the AB folding.
all that stuff. All that stuff was right there. So I remember crying and coming home, and my brother Joe was crying, saying, "There ain't no God," because they know I didn't get high. I worked out every day. I ran 5 miles. I did all the things I was trying to do, and I had to regroup myself and say, "Yo, man, don't ever say that to my brother, because that's not us. That's guys got a different plan."
Yeah.
So long story short, after I was hurt for at 22. The good Lord granted me my health back, and all I was praying for is, to walk.
Yeah.
You think
It's
about
a scary
that.
thing when you're not moving.
Absolutely, and then
How long did you fight that, Walter?
well, it's so rare. They said once you recover, it can come back, but you have to. All you can do is rest. There was no treatment, no rehab, no nothing.
Wow.
So I prayed. I rested and
I
prayed.
bet you did.
And so, make a long story short on that, God granted me health, and I'll never forget the call I got. I started the plan. I was working out, and Bill Musselman, the great late Bill Musselman,
Yes.
The names.
and he had recruited me out of high school. He had played against me from Minnesota and Purdue. He knew me, right? He calls me up one day and he says, "Hey, man, I want to tell you something." I said, "Coach Musselman?" He said, "Yeah, I want to tell you something." He said, "Tomorrow I'm going to be named the head coach of the Cleveland Cavaliers." I said, "Okay, coach." He said, "I want you to come play for me in the Summer Pro League." And he said, "Can you come play for me in the Summer Pro League?" I said, "Yes, sir, coach." He said, "I also got Bill Laimbeer." Bill Laimbeer's at Notre Dame. I knew who Bill Laimbeer was, so we went out to L.A. and played for Coach Musselman in the L.A. Summer Pro League. After that summer, I got offers from Houston Rockets in Cleveland for guaranteed contract, and I signed with Cleveland because of Coach Musselman.
Yeah.
So Bill Laimbeer and I signed the same day at the same press conference. And Bill went on to play, of course, in Detroit and do what he did. So
Yeah.
absolutely,
Great names.
I mean, just the names he's dropping, it's unbelievable.
absolutely.
And to finish up with professional basketball, who was the one guy you played against in professional basketball that was just unbelievable? Was there a guy that you just thought,
absolutely.
Was there a guy that you just thought, man?
Absolutely. There's a couple of them, of course, but the one that stands out to me is Bernard King.
Bernard King
he
for
can
the
score.
he played for the
Bernard King.
Nets,
Bernard
and then
King.
played for the Bullets, Washington when they were the Bullets, the Washington Bullets.
There was a stretch. He was close to 50 a game.
He's a walking bucket.
Yeah.
And it's a shame that he's
Great
not don't have his jersey hanging up in New York. It's a shame.
Yeah.
But
The
that-
injuries,
It's a great name.
his knees were terrible.
But Bernard King, man, I'm telling you, he would come to practice and outwork everybody. He had some alcohol problems later on.
Yeah.
But when
He
I
could still score with alcohol problems.
I'm telling you, man, I've seen him do some amazing things, And then, of course, we got guys like Dr. J, and Larry Bird, and those guys, Magic, of course, and just being able to try to guard those guys, man, and be out
Just
there
think
on
of
the
those
floor with them,
names,
compete.
man. I mean,
And
you
compete.
played against the most iconic figures of the NBA. Man, that's got to give you a sense of pride, man. I mean, Magic, Larry, Dr. J. And that's really when the NBA, you guys built the NBA. That's when the NBA became the NBA. That's the foundation that these guys
1979.
stand up on now.
Oh, absolutely. And back in the day, we didn't play the NBA for money. You had to love the game. You had to love it to say
it's
you.
not like today.
It's crazy. But what I would say is that when you look at this deal, man, you look at the NBA, and you look at the way it is today, it's sad in a way because
Some of the guaranteed contracts and the
yeah,
money.
you don't have to earn your money today. I want
Yeah.
to say,
Yeah.
they want to pay you
Jordan's
$200
been on a
million
little-
for nothing.
Michael Jordan's been on a rant for the last month of talking about this.
He's right.
It's a joke. That's
Yeah,
why he
it
wants
really
to
is.
sell.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
He goes, these kids do not have the drive that we had coming in here to play and wanting to make a name for ourselves.
And speaking of kids, Walter, you transition from your professional career. Dave raises a good issue with the kids. You're still doing all these camps. I mean, you still have, your name is iconic in the 260. What's the difference with these kids nowadays, and how does Walter Jordan reach these kids?
Well, thank you. One of the things that the reason why I'm doing it because I coached high school basketball in Georgia, and I didn't like what I was seeing in travel basketball circuit.
Same thing with drum ball and baseball.
That's what Dave always preaches.
I didn't like it. And a lot of it had to do with adults because kids was getting the wrong messages.
Yep.
And
We just had an incident here in the fort.
I saw that on national
Not
TV.
good.
People were sending me information about that,
Not good.
and videos of that. But
Yeah, it's a shame.
yeah, you got to try to do something, right? I believe a leaders lead, complainers complain, liars lie. But if you lead, you a leader lead, and that's what you have to do. You see a problem, you try to go fix it, and that's just how I feel. You know, because somebody's got to try to help somebody. If you help one person, it's worth it. Somebody helped me. A lot of people helped me, so. You know, a blessing is only a blessing when it's passed on, as you guys know. So, I love kids. Kids to me are remarkable. I'm with them 3 or 4 days a week. I mean, you don't have to talk politics. You ain't talk about no drama. You ain't talk about no mess. You ain't hating on. They ain't hating on each other. They just loving on each other. Kids only want to know 3 things. The first thing they want to know, do you love them? The second thing they want to know is, can you help them get better? The third thing they want to know is, can you help them get where they want to go? That's all they want to know. Yep. They don't want to care about me being in the Hall of Fame. They want to care, can you help them?
How you going to help me?
Get in the Hall of Fame. And I tell the kids all the time, my objective is not to help you win a trophy. My objective is for you to become a walking trophy. So when people see you, they'll go a champion, they'll go a winner, there's a go a great father.
There goes Walter Jordan.
That's what our community needs. That's what we need.
And that came back from the Jordan household.
Absolutely. Standards.
That was the standards that your mom and dad raised 10 kids with.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Gracefully Broken.
Yes.
What a great name.
Amazing. You wrote a book.
Yeah,
And tell the people, look in the camera and tell the people, because, you know, when you write a book, that is such a grind. You know, Dave and I have talked about that. But you got to come up with a title that really
what a great sister he
fits
has.
the book. Tell the great people out there that are watching and going to watch this podcast back later on, how did you come up with the title Gracefully Broken?
Well, every day, there's 2 things I do consistently every day in my life. I get up and I give thanks. I'm grateful about everything. I thank the Lord for waking me up.
Let me breathe.
That's one of the first things I do in the morning because I don't have to be here, okay? And then what I do is I write. I write every day. I write something every day.
Is that something that you've done most of your life, Walter?
Absolutely.
Really? So you always wrote, huh?
I got a notepad by my bed where in my man cave. I got notepad and pens everywhere. If I'm in the bathroom, I got a notepad.
Now, see, that's fascinating.
I have a thought and I write it down.
That's why I love Dave's format of the show, the 260. I never knew that about you.
Absolutely.
Walter Jordan is a writer, and when you have an idea, you grab a pen and paper.
Absolutely. I mean, to think is to put in the ink.
Wow.
And then I read. See, if you can read, you can write.
Yeah.
If you can read, you can write. But if you
And
can't read, you can't write.
And is that part of, I always tell myself, Joe, keep educating yourself. Is that part of that, Walter?
Oh, absolutely. It's all about growth. You know, how can you tell people that you want to grow and you're not trying to grow? It's all about trying to get better. I still got a lot of work to do. I still got big dreams. I still wake up excited about life. Lord, tell me what else you want me to do? Who else you want in life you want me to touch? Because this is a critical time what we're dealing with today with these days youth. The youth can't go anywhere without being endangered.
Yeah.
You know, their life's endangered. You can't go to a movie in schools. You know, the heart has to break for these kids.
Yes.
And so we as adults, I feel like we've let these kids down. And we got to do a better job. It's just that simple. We got to do a better job.
So what was that moment where you said, hey, man, I'm going to sit down and make this commitment to write a book? That's a big boy commitment. I mean, what was that moment where you felt like, you know what? I've written my whole life. It's time that I need to write this book.
Well, one of the things that inspired me to write the book was I get tired of people lying. People lie on people. People tell you a story. They lie on you. I used to hear so many stories about women I've been with, and I tell people I'm not that bad. I wasn't that bad, man. Ain't that ain't that
So
bad.
you felt like you kind of wanted to
everybody's lying.
write the record a little bit.
Right. Everybody's lying on you. Everybody's lying on each other. So I just figured it was time for me to tell my truth. If something, the Lord was to take me home, I wanted my children, my grandchildren to know, your dad, your granddad, he made mistakes. He had flaws. He failed, but he got back up. My wife gave me permission to tell the truth. My children gave me permission to tell the truth about my life. It's not a book about how great I was. It's about my flaws, my imperfections, about how you humble you, how God humbled you. And you know the knockdowns, but more importantly the get back ups.
I was impressed because to put yourself out there almost naked,
Absolutely.
and to say, I am this strong,
Absolutely.
and have this much belief that I can put myself out there naked,
Absolutely.
and I can discuss the good and the bad.
Well, absolutely, and I can tell you today some stories that I don't want to tell you because it make me cry. That's what's happening since I wrote the book. The respect I've gotten nationwide.
Oh, yeah.
At the book signings where people come up to me and just blow me away. The stories and blow me away how they took it and felt and when I did it. But
How you help them.
right. But the big thing about it is I'm at peace. For the first time in my life, I'm at peace.
Yeah.
Everybody knows. And someone to come up with me some negative stuff about what happened to me. Or, hey, Walter, I heard you like women. Yeah, I did, and I do, and it's in the book. It's in the book. Read the book. Yeah, I did it. So we have
But you know what though, Walter? You're real.
I think
You're
I tried
real.
to.
You are. You're real.
Thank you for saying
You're
that.
real.
Thanks for saying that.
And tell the people again, who helped you? Who gave you the name of the book? This is a great story.
That's one of the remarkable things that happened with my family. We talk about the Team Jordan. When I started writing the book, I wrote about 4 or 5 chapters. It was all over the place. I ain't know what, but you got to go back because you hadn't come up with the title yet, and the title is critical.
Which is so critical because you have all this writing. I know when
But he needs to know where to put it.
Yeah,
exactly, and you have to have whenever.
It don't fall into place unless you have a title.
You got to have a title.
Absolutely.
And so I was fascinated about your story.
Now, he has all this writings all over the house.
Absolutely.
You've written all this in your book, and then here you are. You need a title.
Absolutely. I laugh about it because the first month and a half, and I wrote every day, I wrote about 3 chapters, and I kept rewriting because I couldn't get the title. And so something told me.
You have to have a start.
Yeah, my sister Loretta, she's a year older than me. So she knows me better than anybody in the family since we're the same age group and we go to school together. It was so funny. Loretta was one of the most brilliant people I know. In fact, I would always have her teachers, and the start of every school year, I'll get her teachers, and I'll raise my hand like the first day of class and say, hey, I am Loretta's brother, but I'm not a Loretta. So don't expect me to get all A's. Don't hold me to standards. I want to let you know right now.
Don't hold me accountable.
I'm going to fight like crazy to get a B- because I got to. If I don't, I'm not going to be on the team. So, yeah, but I'm not Loretta. I'm not going to get all A's. I want you to know that right now. So, Loretta, I call Loretta, and she says to me, I said, I'm going to send you these pages. I want you to read and tell me what you come up with as far as a title. She said, I ain't got to read your pages. That's what you mean. She said, I know you. She said, I know everything I need to know about you. She said, I got the title.
Just like that, huh?
5 minutes. She said,
Wow,
I
just
got
like
it.
that.
It took
You've
me
searched
2 and
for
a
this
half, 3
title.
months.
Yeah, you've searched and
2 or
searched
3,
and searched.
2 or 3 months. And she says to me, I got the title.
Boom. Got it.
Wow.
I said, you got the title? I said, what is the title? She said, Gracefully Broken.
Wow.
I literally dropped the phone.
Unbelievable.
I dropped the phone.
When somebody knows you.
And shook my head.
And that was it.
And then I put my finger up to God. I said, thank you, Mama. I said,
Wow.
I said, thank you, Mama. And then as I got that done, the rest just started flowing. The chapters just started flowing. It was a flow to it.
Wow.
And then my brother says to me, my brother Charles, he says to me, he says, I want to tell you something. He said, you think you wrote that book, don't you? I said, no. He said, because get it clear. He said, let's make it clear. He said, you didn't write that book. He said, you were just obedient. God wrote the book.
That's right. And
So-
the beautiful spirituality of your mother
Absolutely.
working through you. That is
Absolutely.
amazing.
Absolutely.
I got to ask you a question, Walter. Listen,
sir.
Your story has been beautiful. I thought I knew a lot, and I've learned so much more. So you played against the legendary. You played against the legendary John Wooden,
Yes.
Purdue guy.
Yes.
Are you guys ever close?
No.
Because his 7-point creed that I carry in my
Oh,
wallet,
I got to. Go ahead.
and be true to yourself, help others, make each day your masterpiece, drink deeply from good books, especially the Bible, make friendship a fine art, build a shelter against a rainy day, and number 7, pray for guidance and count and give thanks for your blessings every day.
Wow.
That's it. Wooden 7-point creed I carry in my wallet.
It's on my wall.
No kidding.
On your wall.
On my wall in my office. Yes, sir.
I'm just sitting here listening to
Absolutely.
him, and I'm like,
Absolutely. I'm a huge John Wooden fan. I've
And
read
I'm just
probably
like-
all his books.
right there it is.
Absolutely. That's my man. Appreciate you sharing that. Absolutely.
So as we wrap
Pyramid of success.
Yep.
so as we wrap up with you, what's next for Walter Jordan? I mean, you're a man that always looks forward. What's next?
I'm excited about life. You know, I had a quadruple bypass heart surgery. I'm a diabetic, but I'm healthier now, and I've been in the last 5-10 years. God,
You look fantastic.
thank you. I mean,
You're brand new.
exactly. I tell people all the time, you know, someone asks me, when are you going to not do this anymore? I said, when God stopped adding to my bucket list. As long as he's adding to my bucket list, I got to be obedient, and I got to go and do what I got to do. I got 4 camps coming up in the next 5 weeks.
Wow.
And then I got 4 speaking engagements after that all over the country. So he's keep using me. It's kind of great that people still think you relevant. And so as long as somebody think I'm relevant, I'm going to keep trying to get out there and do what I do.
You are relevant.
Hey, Joe.
Go ahead, Dave.
Don't wrap up too yet. When we had on Blackhawk Boys, how did you know? When Coach was down there coaching
Yes.
for you, and then Coach Davison
Great
says,
point.
"Hey, I got a job in your hometown, Fort Wayne, Indiana." What was that like?
Which was that?
Coach Davison, when he came to Blackhawk from your
Black Hawk.
Black
Man.
Hawk Christian. Yeah.
Oh.
When Coach Davidson got the job. I think Coach Davidson
Coach
reached out
Davidson.
to you because he had so much respect
yeah,
for you.
he's coaching with in your group.
Coach Davison was amazing. I met Coach Davison in Georgia. He had 2 sons that could play.
Yes.
And our spirit met. And I didn't know he had played at Illinois. I didn't know all those things about him. He was just a great man. And he's a coach with my travel basketball organization.
Yes.
So Coach Davidson calls me up and he says, "Hey, I'm going to your hometown." I said, "You going where?" He said, "Fort Wayne, Indiana." My first thought was, wow, he's going to bless thousands of people.
Wow.
We need him in this community. And so when he was going through his illnesses and challenges, I would call him up and talk to him. But you talk about
Once again, this is his
Wow.
life. This is his life where they were put together.
Yeah.
wow.
And he comes-
I'm glad you mentioned him because, man, I'm telling you, that brother, and he is a brother. Think about his life.
Yes.
Think about
Yeah.
kids he's touching, just in his family, and his heart. Faces, not racist. Think
Yeah.
about what he stood for.
Yes.
You know, talk about missing somebody in the community. Come on,
He was
man.
a tremendous loss in our community.
Come on, man.
He was so beloved.
the best of the best.
But God had put him in your realm.
Oh, absolutely.
That's crazy.
But and that the fact that he came home to Fort Wayne,
Yes.
Yeah.
I was like, yes. If you're gonna go anywhere,
Go
go
to
to Fort Wayne. B260.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Absolutely, we need you. Absolutely, we
And,
need you.
and as we wrap up, we've got kind of a rapid fire segment
Okay.
where Sonar's lovely wife, Crystal, put together a segment. We're going to ask you, kind of short questions. But as we wrap up, it's just remarkable to hear your journey and all the people you've touched and people that have been touched by you. It's just,
Thank you.
It's
Thank
just
you.
a remarkable
Thank
journey. And really, a remarkable life, and that's where
Thank
Dave and
you.
I are excited about the 260 podcast because we all love sports, but
there's
we
always
love,
stories.
we
We want
love
the
to
story.
hear
But you
the
can tell,
stories.
you,
The
you-
stories.
You can tell you guys love it, and what people don't realize, and when you meet kindred spirits and people doing things for the right reason, you find out you're on the same team.
That's right.
We're all on the same team.
On the same bus.
Yeah, absolutely on the same bus. Exactly right. So I feel your spirits. I watch you guys. You know that. I watch the high school games, and I love it, the fact that I can watch them from the comfort of my home.
Yep.
Yes.
You know, I watch some of my favorite players, Jordan Poole, of course, and some of
Oh,
the kids.
fantastic.
I watch these kids, and some of them I
He's
don't
having a
know.
great summer
I
right
I
now.
watch Wayne, doing their run. I watch Blackhawk Christian. I watch these kids, and I'm like, well, I don't know them, but they 260.
Roosevelt,
Yeah, baby.
Let's go root for them.
Roosevelt couldn't get the game, so he's texting me, and I'm having to call him during the game to give him.
Oh, absolutely. You guys don't know how many lives you guys touch just to be able to have that,
Yeah,
at your
to give
fingertips.
back. Yeah,
At
we
your
all wanna
fingertips.
give
and
back,
you
just
can
like-
tell you guys excited about it. It's not
Oh,
like
yeah.
it's a job. You guys are having fun and
Yes.
you're entertaining. You know what you're talking about. So it's not like some broadcasts, even on television, you got to turn the volume down just to watch the game. You guys, you can listen to and okay, it's good stuff. I like that.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
Good stuff.
First question, I guess, do you watch Netflix? And if you do, is there something you watch on there? And also after that, what's kind of a book that you read recently?
I watch documentaries. I love documentaries.
Yes.
I love stories. I love that kind of stuff. I watch 60 Minutes or 2020 or I like documentaries. I like stories about people,
Yeah.
especially sports stories. Any sport, doesn't matter what sport. It's a documentary. I'm gonna watch it.
E60, E30s.
Exactly. I love it. And the second question was second part.
Yeah. A book that
Recent
you read
book.
recently or a book you're getting into.
I've got so many books that I'm halfway through. One of them is Mental Toughness by Jay Billis.
Wow.
That's a very good book. The one that I recommend to kids at this camp all week, because our theme is you versus you. So is The Energy Bus. It's by John Bowman. On the Energy Bus, he talks about who's driving your bus. Who you let driving your bus. If you ain't driving your bus, you don't know where in the hell you're going. The second thing it says, who's on your bus? Who you letting on your bus? The third thing is, do you know where in the hell you're going?
Wow.
So I ask the kids all the time, who's driving your bus? Are you a follower or you a leader? If you want to go to New York, you letting people on your bus want to go to Chicago and trying to get you to not go to New York to take them to Chicago, they need to be off your bus. You got to know where you're going. So the Energy Bus, who's driving your bus? Those two books I strongly recommend.
Amazing. So when you're back here in town, lovely Fort Wayne, what's your favorite restaurant?
I'm a simple guy. I'm reminded of Shaquille O'Neal when Shaquille O'Neal tells a story about his rookie year. He had just got rookie of the year. He just became Shaq and all this stuff, and he goes back home at the off season, and all his homeboys are waiting on him to come pick him up in a limousine and take him out to eat. And Shaq tells a story where he pulls up, the limousine gets in, they all get in, they all, dressed up, they excited. Shaq, ready to take us out to eat. Shaq said had the limousine driver pulled up to McDonald's. so I'm a simple guy, man. But with my wife, she likes that kind of stuff. So I always got to take her to places like that. And she usually seafood places, steak places like that is what I favor. Yes.
Isn't that funny? You take the wife to the fancy places.
Absolutely.
And then I tend to always eat at King Euros,
Smart guy.
Can't beat
How
it.
about you, Sonar?
Smart guy.
Right? Am I crazy?
Just a dirty
Dave?
burrito is all you need, right?
Yeah,
like
you
King
smart
Euros.
guy, brother. You doing the right
I
thing.
love Powers. I could eat
know.
Powers every day.
Absolutely.
To me, that's being content. The ability to be happy to eat at King Euros.
Here's the funny thing about Powers. I've been craving it.
Yeah.
Here
See,
comes
don't make me think about Powers, man.
here comes Thursday,
260, baby.
and I'm like, Dave, you cannot go to Powers.
Yeah.
You are going to smell like onions. Walter
We're all
Jordan,
sitting in here.
Walter Jordan's going to be sitting
Tomorrow,
right next to you.
But
What?
how about that Coney Island place?
Oh, yeah.
I might have to make a stop now.
Yeah, absolutely. What's Walter Jordan listening to right now, music-wise? What do you prefer?
Well, I love all kinds of music. Jazz is my favorite. R&B, of course, old school R&B. You put on some OJs or somebody like that, Temptations. You know, I'm a mellow man. I don't like the hippity hop and all the cussing and rapping and
That's
all
right.
that stuff.
I love Motown. I've
Yeah,
said that.
Yeah, I'm a Motown guy. So that other stuff, I don't know what they be saying or what they be meaning, but ain't in no language you're gonna be belittling women, our women and stuff.
That's
I'm
right.
not down for any of that, any of it at all.
Walter, what is if you could meet past or present and have a one-on-one conversation with them, who would it be?
Wow, there's a couple guys that I would love to have a conversation with. I do think about that sometimes, and one of them would be Dr. King.
Dr. King.
Would be Dr. King for sure. The other one would be Muhammad Ali.
Two great answers.
Wow, great answers.
Because what they experience has to be remarkable.
Yeah.
And we probably don't even know half of it.
No.
And the third one probably be Hank Aaron.
My number one favorite baseball player of all time. He has the best stats of anybody.
What
You
they
take-
went through, man, just
Yeah.
you couldn't imagine. Could not imagine.
As we wrap up, Walter, look in that camera. Talk to all the kids out there. What does it take? What does it take to make a journey? And what's Walter Jordan's message to those kids?
My message to the kids out there is that you was born to perform at a genius level. You were born to perform at the genius level. You are an eagle. You were born to fly. You were born to win. You have greatness inside of you. You have greatness in your DNA. Find out your history so you'll know who you are. Find out who God says you are. God says you're a conqueror. God says you are a king. God says that he wants to bless you beyond all means. I tell kids all the time, 3 things I know for sure. The devil has a serious game plan for your life. He wants to destroy you. He wants to snatch all your dreams. He don't want you to have anything in life. He don't want you to be happy. I said, that's the bad news. The good news is God has a serious game plan for your life. He want to fulfill all your dreams, all your dreams. It's humanly impossible for you to reach those dreams. To reach those dreams, the dreams can't be bigger than what God's dreams he has for you. He has serious bucket list for your life. The great news is this. You get to choose. Are you going to follow God's game plan or Satan's game plan? You get to choose. Every day you wake up, you get to choose and make a decision. It's not you against the guy in that other jersey or the guy with a different color face than you or a different religion than you are. It's you versus you. It's you versus you. It's what you think. It's what you believe. It's who you are. You've got to find out who you are. No excuses. There's no excuses in this world. And there's no free lunches either. So you have to make up your mind that you're going to be great. Trust in the Lord. Faith over fear. Go to work. Grind. Most people want to start at the top. Think success starts at the top. The only time success starts at the top is when you dig in a ditch. Be careful, because that's also how you build a grave. So make sure you understand the grind. Inch by inch is a cinch. Let's go to work.
That's amazing, Joe.
And that was pure greatness.
Yes.
Walter Jordan, a name that will always be spoken with pride in the 260, Dave.
260 is very fortunate to have this man. So very fortunate. I mean, when I look at that skyline, I'm thinking we are fortunate to have you.
Let me say this, guys. Let me cheer up. There's truly no place like home.
That's right.
Fort Wayne is.
Special place, man. That's why I try to tell everybody.
I have. I've gotten the best part of this deal. Absolutely, I've gotten the best part.
You
of this
earned
deal.
it.
I love Fort Wayne, Indiana. I love my hometown. I take pride in being from Fort Wayne, and that gives me extra juice to go and represent Fort Wayne. So I'm proud, and I'm so happy you guys had me on. I wish you guys nothing but the best. Keep touching lives and encouraging people to do what we need to do. So
We will. And the
I love you guys.
260 wants to thank you and the great Jordan family.
Thank you, bro. Appreciate
Sonar,
you.
unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Thank you,
Another
guys.
fantastic
Appreciate you guys.
episode.
That was amazing.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us on this exciting episode of the 260. We hope you enjoyed the journey through the captivating world of Fort Wayne sports and the remarkable stories that have unfolded within our community. Don't forget to visit SpieceFitness.com to explore the extraordinary offerings at the Spiece Fieldhouse, where the magic of sports comes alive. Stay connected with us on social media by following at the 260 for more engaging content, updates, and behind-the-scenes moments. Until next time, keep supporting your local teams. Thank you, Dave, Joe, Denise, Charlene, of course, Walt and Matt today with us. Until next time, keep supporting the local teams, stay cool, and remember the sports spirit never stops. You, me, us, and them. We are the 260.